Oh, thank you for joining us again. It is January the 6th, and today we're reading Genesis 21, chapters 21 through 24. I'm reading from the Tree of Life version of the Bible, and faith comes by hearing, hearing by the Word of God. And so let's go and hear some Word of God. Let's get started. Chapter 21, Birth of Isaac. Then Adonai visited Sarah just as he had said, and Adonai did for Sarah just as he had spoken. So Sarah became pregnant and gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time that God had told him. Abraham named his son, who was born to him, whom Sarah bore for him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised Isaac, his 8-day-old son, just as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son was born to him. So Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. She also said, Who would have said to Abraham, Sarah has nursed children, for I have given birth to a son in his old age. Ishmael banished, yet delivered. The child grew and was weaned. Abraham made a big feast on the day Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian woman, who had borne to Abraham, making fun. So she said to Abraham, Drive out this female slave and her son, for the son of this female slave will not be an heir with my son, with Isaac. Now the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's eyes on account of his son. But God said to Abraham, Do not be displeased about the boy and your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, listen to her voice. For through Isaac shall your seed be called. Yet I will also make the son of the slave woman into a nation, because he is your seed. So Abraham got up early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. She went and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water from the skin was finished, she abandoned the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat herself down opposite, about a bow shot away, for she had said, I can't bear to see the child dying. So she sat down opposite and lifted up her voice and wept. Then God heard the boy's voice, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, because God has heard the boy's voice where he is. Get up, lift the boy up, and hold on to him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the water skin, and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He dwelled in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelled in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Covenant of Abimelech and Abraham. Now it came about at the same time that Abimelech, with Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. So now make a pledge to me here by God that you will not violate your word with me, or with my descendants, or with my offspring. As I have shown loyalty to you, show the same to me, and to the land in which you have lived as an outsider. Abraham said, I make a pledge. And now Abraham had rebuked Abimelech because of the well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. So Abimelech said, I don't know who did this thing, nor did you tell me, nor did I hear about it until today. Then Abraham took a flock of sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Abraham set 7 young ewe lambs apart from the flock of sheep by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, What do these 7 ewe lambs that you've set by themselves mean?" He said, "You are to accept the 7 ewe lambs from my hand, so that they may be a witness for me that I dug this well." That is why that place is named Beersheba, because there both of them made a pledge, and they made a covenant in Beersheba. Then Abimelech got up with Phicol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then he planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and called there on the name of Adonai, the everlasting God. He lived as an outsider in the land of the Philistines for many days. Chapter 22. The binding of Isaac. Now it was after these things that God tested Abraham, and said to him, "Abraham, Hineni," he said. Then he said, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains about which I tell you." So Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son. He split wood for the burnt offering, and got up and went to the place about which God had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, "Sit yourselves down here with the donkey. As for me and the young man, we'll go over there, worship, and return to you." Then Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering, and put it on Isaac his son. In his hand he took the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac said to Abraham his father, "My father." Then he said, "Here I am, my son." He said, "Look, here's the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering?" Abraham said, "God will provide for himself a lamb for a burnt offering, my son." The 2 of them walked on together. Then they came to the place about which God had told him, and Abraham built the altar there, laid out the wood, bound up Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of Adonai called to him from heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." He said, "Hineni." Then he said, "Do not reach out your hand against the young man. Do nothing to him at all. For now I know that you are one who fears God. You did not withhold your son, your only son, from me." Then Abraham lifted up his eyes, and behold, there was a ram caught in the thick bushes by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham named that place Adonai Yireh. As it is said today, on the mountain Adonai will provide. The angel of Adonai came to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, "By myself I swear it is a declaration of Adonai, because you have done this thing and you did not withhold your son, your only son. I will richly bless you and bountifully multiply your seed like the stars of heaven, and like the sand that is on the seashore, and your seed will possess the gate of his enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed my voice." Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they got up and went together to Beersheba. Then Abraham dwelled in Beersheba. Now it was after these things that it was told to Abraham, "Look, Milcah has also borne sons to Nahor your brother, Uz his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Chized, Hazo, Pildash, Yidlaph, and Bethuel. Then Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Makkah.